A AAA exclusive. A AAA exclusive. What is a AAA exclusive? What is a AAA to begin with? You know, I'm gonna talk about the exclusives in a second here, but you know, this whole thing with AAA, it's really, it's gone crazy. You know, I understand what the guidelines and the definition of a AAA is now. It means a big budget game. That's what it's now defined as. But I disagree. I really disagree with that. You know, and I don't care who doesn't like it. I don't care, you know, if you have a different definition about it. I understand where you're coming from. You know, so I do care in that sense. But in my opinion, I want that. I believe this. I believe a AAA game is a game that's awesome, that's great, it's fun to play, that is intriguing, that I gotta keep coming back to. Like, in my opinion, a AAA game was, you know, even let's go back to the Nintendo days, early Nintendo days. Like, a AAA game, in my opinion, would have been Double Dragon, right? AAA, in my opinion, would have been a game like Kung Fu, you know, or Battletoads was a AAA game. I mean, and these were all by different developers other than outside of Nintendo itself making the games. Don't get me wrong, Mario was AAA, right? Metroid was AAA. Let's see. I'm trying to think of games that really didn't seem to have a big budget, but you had fun with, right? Oh, man. You know, it's difficult to think back in the day because Nintendo did publish a lot of those games, you know, but you had like different SNK's game, Guerrilla Warfare, or was it Guerrilla? I can't remember what the name was, but it was definitely an SNK game, and it was amazing. Guerrilla War, I think it was called, and games like even Konami, you know, granted, you could say that those games, by the definition of today, are AAA, but I guess my whole thing is, back in the day, you know, when we got games, they were all AAAs. Every game that you wanted, when you got it home and you were excited to play it, it was in your mind a AAA game. Now that we have grown up, and, you know, I went through that whole spiel in my last video about we as gamers have grown up. Now that we've grown up, we've gotten to the point where we're analyzing the mess out of games, you know, to the point where we're deciphering sales. We're analyzing what is a good what a good developer is, to the point where it's like, well, if that developer releases that game's not really considered a AAA, well, that's not really considered. A multi-plat is no longer really considered a AAA, or if it is, if it has a big, huge budget, you know, like some of the Assassin's Creeds are considered AAA games, you know, because of the budget put behind it. But to me, you know, when you're going to use that term AAA, the game, I think, should, for the most part, the majority of the gaming community should receive that game as a great game. You know, that's what my, even if, like, for instance, even if there's a game that I don't particularly like, but the majority of the gaming community is like, dang, that's a really good game. You can, in my opinion, I think you can consider that as like a AAA game. You know what I'm saying? Because it's well received. It's well received, and it's kind of hard to go by that definition, because we have things like Metacritic. We have things like you know, gaming reviews, you know, where now if you give a game a 7, it's horrible. If you give a game anything less than a 9, that game is not to be added to your library. And so it by my definition, it has some flaws. You know, I'm willing to admit that it has some flaws, but for the most part, like, if I enjoy a game, like, to me, like Mad Max, like, I love that game. I love that game. And I know there's some people out there that do not like that game. I know there's people who consider it boring. There's some people that consider it repetitive, whatever. But in my opinion, that is a AAA game. To me, like, that's what if I'm thinking about the game while I'm away from the game, if I'm like, dang, I can't wait to get back on that game, you know, which is what we did when we were kids, you know, with our Nintendos, with our Sega Genesis, with our GameCubes, with our PlayStation 1s, our PlayStation 2s. We couldn't wait to get home and play these games, like Tekken, you know. Tekken, I'm not sure if that was considered a a big budget game, but in my mind that is a AAA game. You know, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 1, these were AAA games because these are games that you enjoyed in the arcade. Not necessarily may have had a big budget, but these are games that you enjoyed in the arcade. And it's like, oh my god, they're coming to the home console, you know? And so you were excited about that. And in my mindset, that was AAA. It was like when you played a game in the arcade and then when you read in the gaming magazine that game, you remember that when that game was coming to the Nintendo or to the Genesis, and you read that arcade game, oh my god, that arcade game is coming to my console. You were so excited. You were so excited. It didn't matter the review. There was no matter of opinion, because everybody, if you went to that arcade game and everybody was crowded around that arcade game, in some cases like Street Fighter 2, it didn't matter how much of a budget they put into that game. It didn't matter that at all. It was just, you knew that game was tight. People loved the game, and so automatically that was considered a AAA game. I mean, everybody loved it, you know. And Capcom was good for stuff like that, Ghouls and Ghosts, you know, things like that. Considered AAA, even though really I didn't really like that. But you know, it mostly comes down to if a game is well received by the public. If the game is well received by the public, to me, that's when a game is considered a AAA game. Like Shadow of Mordor, I don't know if they put a lot of money into that. I don't know if that was a game that had a big budget. I'm not sure, but all I know is that it was a sleeper, and it was definitely a AAA game. I know that much. It was a AAA game, in my opinion. That was a AAA game. Had nothing to do with budget, had nothing to do with exclusive, had nothing to do with any of that type of thing. So now getting on to exclusive. There are so many arguments I hear about what is exclusive, what is not exclusive games. You know, and to be fair, the true definition of exclusive is when it is only on one platform. And when I say platform, I mean across everything. So if your game is coming, if a game is coming to a console and it's coming to a PC, technically it's not really exclusive. It's coming to two platforms, you know, and PC can be considered a platform. I do believe that it can be considered a platform. But this is the way I look at an exclusive, because in my opinion, a PC does not belong in the arena. It does not belong in the arena of a console, in the console arena. I think PC is on its own. I think that's my thing, because there's nothing really that can hold up as far as you comparing a console to a PC. A PC will obliterate the consoles, hands down. There's no argument there. I don't care how many bits, how many GPUs, how many clocks or whatever, the cloud, you could throw all that in there. You know, there's no way you're going to be able to argue that a console is stronger than a PC, hands down. So with me, I automatically exclude a PC from dealing with consoles. So whenever I hear that a game is exclusively on an Xbox One or exclusively on a PS4 and they're coming to a PC, in my mind it's like, okay, it's exclusive, you know, console wise, you know. When I hear people say, oh, it's not exclusive, it's coming to the PC, I hear what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from, but I think the argument comes in to the point where it's like, okay, if we're excluding the PC as it being in its own arena, and we're talking about the console arena, and only one of those consoles, because a lot of people don't game on PC. A lot of people can't afford that stuff, but they can afford a $200 or $300, $350 console, $400 console. They can afford that, you know. So when we're talking about those two things, then, you know, exclusive becomes more of like, okay, man, that means if I really want to go out and play this game on the other console, I got to go get that console. You know what I'm saying? And when you hear that, like Street Fighter 5, it would say console exclusive. It's exclusive to PlayStation 4. A lot of people were like, no, it's not exclusive. It's coming to PC. Well, to the console guys like myself, I mean, granted, I do have a PC or whatever. I'm not into PC gaming. To people that really just play on consoles, it's exclusive to them, because they're not gonna go and get a PC. So I just wanted to clear that up. Those were the thoughts of mine. But concerning AAA titles and PC titles, I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that? I think the AAA thing is overrated. I think the exclusive thing is overrated. I think, honestly, in whatever you have fun with, whatever you enjoy, and whatever you find yourself coming back to night after night and spending hours in playing that game, that's a AAA. If you have that experience with your game, then guess what? You're experiencing a AAA game. A AAA game. I don't care who else says what about that game. I don't care what the reviewers gave it. I know GameSpot might have gave it a 6. I know IGN might have gave it a 4. But if you're enjoying that game, granted, I'm kind of contradicting myself because I did say in the beginning that if it's widely received, then it's AAA, and I somewhat stick to that. So, but at the end of the day, I think you just need to find the games that you like. You're not gonna get every game that releases. You're not gonna get every game that pops off. Just because it's a PlayStation 4 game or it's Xbox One game, that doesn't mean you have to get every game. A lot of people are really into that. It's like, oh well, how many games do you have? Do you support your son? It's like, well, why am I gonna support something? The game, the system, if it's a game that I don't like. My thing is, if you want me to support your system, then bring out a game I actually like, and I'll support it. And everybody has their own genre. Everybody has their own type of games that they like. If you want me to support your system and I'm an RPG guy, then bring out some more RPGs. If you want me to support your system and I'm a fighting guy, then bring out some more fighters. You have to have diversity in game. You have to have diversity in the software that you bring to your platform, and that's something that I feel that Xbox One is starting to kind of get. I think Phil is getting that. I think I did hear. I saw something that Shuya Ishida came out saying, "Hey, we don't have enough AAA," so I think they're getting it. But that was just my thoughts on this whole AAA exclusive thing, guys. All right, Red Eye Gamer out. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.